going to be very exciting if you're an enjoyer of tricks and skips and glitches and out of bounds and all sorts of things. Lots of that coming. First things first, I guess to introduce as well, is that we have 3 costume options technically in the game if you're running any % easy. 3 costumes that don't give you any extra spider powers. And so in honor of Chuck Nicey being here, we're going to run in the Ben Reilly costume.
Hooray!
Exactly. And then I guess we'll get started. We'll explain what we're doing as we're going along. But hopefully you're in for a good ride. This is a nice, quick speedrun. I think a good one as well. You might see if anyone's wanting to learn a speedrun in particular. This was my first speedrun game that I learned going on like 2 years ago now. And I now hold the world record for the hardware copy of this game, which is fantastic. Not to brag. But so we'll get started anyway, and we'll explain what we're doing. So we'll start in 3, 2, 1, go. And we're off. So the main crux of this game and the way this game works in order to go fast is down to movement. So straight away, we'll be swinging across buildings and things like that. And the swinging is really the main mechanic that Spider-Man will be using to maneuver through the levels. Most levels basically get from point A to point B as fast as possible. So for example, in this level, all we have to do is hit the skyscraper just at the end of this, which we'll do by performing a few little kind of movement tricks just to be able to navigate around this building faster than we would normally. Normally, casually, if you play this game, you climb over some buildings and go to this building here. This is a nice, little fast way. Not only does Spider-Man have the ability to swing, but he has the ability to like zip to things as well. We'll be doing a lot of explaining of kind of the web mechanics as well. And then very quickly, to explain as we go into here, Spider-Man also has web moves that he can incorporate into his arsenal when it comes to defeating the various bad guys around, which you'll see 2 of right now. So this first one is the web dome, and this is a web ball. And there we go. And that's all the enemies defeated, and they've been blown off the roof, and it's as quick as that. So there you go. So, Chuck, Spider-Man has many moves, wall crawling, firing web balls. Do you know that he can phase through walls? Do you want to explain about that?
Oh, absolutely. Secret superpower of Spider-Man is that he has a hitbox that's about the size of a piece of paper, like the thickness of a piece of paper, and that allows him to completely go through certain walls at certain corners, causing the levels to deload like this, and causing some enemies and some of these hostages here that he needs to get to disappear, even though they technically still exist. And on the easy mode, if he just barely like graces by the hostages or like aggroes some of the enemies, that counts as freeing the hostages here on easy mode. So he goes through that level quite quickly, and he's going to be doing a little bit more of this secret spider power of phasing through walls here in just a second.
Absolutely. Doors, guys, ever heard of him? Spider-Man hasn't. There we go. We're through that. And we're in the next room.
Spider-Man doesn't believe in doors.
No, absolutely not. And why should he when he can just pass through them as easily as that? Would you believe in doors if you had that power? I'm
Never.
not sure you would.
Never.
No, exactly. So the good thing about that certain trick as well, by glitching through this door, it also opens this this bank vault here, which allows us to throw the bomb in without having to open the door first, which is normally done by pressing this button. There we go. But by pressing the button as the bomb is being thrown into the vault, it counts as the door closing and the level ending, essentially. So it saves a lot of time instead of opening various doors and doing all sorts of various things. It just saves us, plenty of time. And we're going to go fast. This is a speed run, guys. We want to go fast. So anything that will save us time is excellent. So Chuck, we've not really covered the story of this game so far. We're not very far in, but I think this is a good place potentially as we're swinging kind of to the Daily Bugle now to save J. Jonah Jameson to explain what it is exactly that's been going on in the game.
So basically, the beginning of the game starts with Spider-Man being framed for stealing a bit of technology from a science expo. And while Spider-Man would love to look into that as soon as possible, he keeps getting sidetracked by stuff. First, we had a bank robbery that sidetracks him. Now it's like nighttime, and Scorpion's trying to take down J. Jonah Jameson. We'll see a little bit later on that Venom gets involved a bit because he thinks Spider-Man is guilty. So it's not really until about halfway through this game that we start engaging with the main plot of the game. He just keeps getting sidetracked. And speaking of Scorpion, we're about to get into the Scorpion fight, which can be deceptively aggravating depending on Jonah's behavior.
Ooh, and we've got potentially a good run here. So what we're trying to do is defeat Scorpion in one cycle before J. Jonah Jameson can run through the door, which we have done. Excellent. Normally what happens is he'd run through that door, you've got to wait for an entire cutscene to play, and you have to wait for Scorpion to smash through the door, go into the next room. It's an unskippable cutscene, so you have to wait for it. But by performing a kick-kick-punch combo, which you'll see very commonly used throughout basically the entire game, whenever it comes to fighting bosses or enemies, generally kick-kick-punch is the way to go. By doing that fast, with the web gloves on as well, which is another web move, web gloves to deal extra damage, we actually can beat him with 4 cycles, essentially, like 4 moves. So we can do that very fast, and now we're kind of in the green, foggy mist of New York City as the police decide, you know what, Spider-Man, you are guilty for stealing that piece of technology, and so in retaliation, we're just going to nuke the entire city, which is a very reasonable response, I think, from the NYC. So, yeah, Chuck, please explain why they do think that this is a good idea.
Why they think that shooting down Spider-Man with all these missiles is a good idea? They probably think Spider-Man's caused this fog, even though it's definitely Doc Ock. But Doc Ock has a really good reason. You see, Doc Ock understands the hardware limitations of the PlayStation and knows that we can't actually view the street view from this high up. So he's kind enough to put some fog through New York City so that we're not chugging along at 5 frames per second. And
as a nice guy, really, honestly.
You know what? Maybe he really is reformed, like he appears at the beginning of the game. You may have missed it there, but we saw a bit of optimizations there in one of the only sort of auto scrollers in the game. Getting up that building is one of the slowest parts of this entire game, and yet we make it faster by being able to zip up halfway through each floor and doing a few cheeky zips to save even more time trying to crawl across the ceiling, because as cool as it is that Spider-Man can crawl, it is one of the slowest ways that he moves, second only to running. Or rather,
Indeed,
running is a little bit faster than crawling.
Yeah, so you can see we got hit by the police chopper there, so we did take a bit of a fall, which means we have to crawl all the way up that building, which is a bit slower, but that is fine. Continue on without falling into the green mist, which is ideal. We get to the next building, and now, Chuck, we come to a very exciting point. A trick that was discovered really not that long ago. We've talked about Spider-Man, climbing walls, being able to use webs. We've talked about him being able to glitch through walls and ignore doors. Can you tell me about this other power that we're about to bear witness to?
Did you guys know that Spider-Man can fly?
Absolutely
It's true.
not.
We'll do Absolutely. For the kids at home.
Oh, please actually make it. Thank you. So, by placing yourself on that wall there and looking for a point directly above you or in front of you from Spider-Man's point of view, you can activate what's called a flying spider fly, pretty fly for a spider guy, however you want to put it. And Spider-Man practically flies. And as you saw there, it gets us straight to the level trigger, but you can't stay there too long or you'll actually time yourself out. This game, if it notices you've been falling for more than 8 seconds, I think, it just automatically restarts the level. And speaking of ending the levels, Spider-Man is...
A bit scared. Hold on. We're going to target him mode because I don't want to fall.
A bit of this in practice too.
Yeah. It's scary.
Through a lot of swing optimizations, we are already moving on to the Rhino boss fight because, Spider-Man's got to get sidetracked by Rhino as well on his way to figure out who has framed him for the Science Expo heist. And now,
indeed,
here we
go.
Go ahead.
What you've just witnessed there is this is the easiest way, in theory, to defeat Rhino as fast as possible. There is the option of doing the kick punch with the web gloves to defeat him, but this optimization was found wherein if you kind of jump inside Rhino's hitbox and just do like instant web domes, which you can do by holding down the buttons normally that you'd use to activate the web dome, which is triangle and right on your D-pad. But then if you hold down punch or kick at the same time, it instantly pops those web domes. Normally he'd sit there and like hide in a dome before popping them. So what we do is just continuously do those inside of his hitbox, and that just like absolutely shreds his health, which is excellent. Want to go fast? And speaking of going fast, Venom is trying to go fast, but he's not as fast as us as we try and swing our way through this level. This is essentially, again, kind of like a semi-auto scroller in a sense, because we can't, you'll notice that bar at the top of the screen. If Venom gets too far away from us, as in Spider-Man's little character model there at the top of the screen, gets too far to the left side, we will lose Venom and we have to start the level again, which we're going to try and avoid. Generally, we're going faster than Venom anyway, and we go to specific points on that kind of construction site just to trigger him moving between the certain spots to be able to jump into this cutscene. Which is an excellent cutscene, by the way. I feel like we should just kind of sit silently and just bear witness to this cutscene, if that's okay. So everyone, just please pay attention.
Ow, my head! Ow, my head!
His head.
Yeah, look out, lady.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
Ooh, sorry, lady. Didn't see a thing. Let me tell
Let's
you
go,
right
Venom.
now, even if you don't speedrun this game, I encourage you to play this game casually at least once, because Venom alone, as a character, is one of the best parts about this game, bar none. Every single
100%.
cutscene, almost every single voice line that he has, just absolutely cements that he is Spider-Man's bully, and it's the funniest thing you'll ever hear in this game.
Yeah, this fully like embraces the kind of Venom like anti-hero, but it becomes like it's honestly just hilarious. Like if you've never played this game, if you played this game before, you know exactly what we're talking about. But if you've never played this game before, it's incredible, and it's a shame really that we have to skip a lot of the cutscenes wherein Venom speaks, because he has some great lines. Surf the Web, obviously a classic. If you know the game, we will be skipping that cutscene sadly, so we won't get to hear that. But in the meantime, as fun and as nice of a guy as Venom is, we are going to have to beat him up a little bit here. So this is the first of 2 Venom boss fights. He turns invisible and then will reappear as I scuff that combo a little bit. That's fine. So all we're doing here is waiting for him to reappear and then hitting him with the, oh my days, the kick punch combo that in theory should be a lot faster than what I'm doing here, but I'm just whiffing it a little bit, which is fine. Oh, nice spawn. There we
Also-
go. Got him.
This is a game that taught me that Venom can turn invisible, which is something I've seen in almost no Spidey media since. So I had no
It's true,
idea
actually. That's
that
a
he
really
could
good
turn
point. Yeah.
invisible.
So I don't know if they just like added that to the game or if that is actually like canon somewhere. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like the invisibility part of his power set is very, very rare, it seems, to be mentioned. I've never seen that anywhere. Right, we've made our way now to the sewers. We're chasing Venom through the sewers. This is quite a scary area, just because if we fall, again, similar to outside, where if we fall into the kind of the black void below, we will die and have to restart the level. So we try and avoid that. We swing under the pipes there for the best kind of route to be able to save the most time. But obviously that's scary, because if you miss any of the swings, you will just fall into the void, and then it's kind of game over. You've got to start that level again. But we avoid that, which is brilliant, and then we just hit these lizards now. There's lizards, by the way, just in the sewers. We hit them with the web balls, defeat them as quickly as possible, and we continue to chase Venom through the sewers. Now,
And-
Chuck, this is a cool level. Do you want to tell everyone about God Pipes?
So this level, Sewer Cavern, we affectionately call God Pipes, because as you may have noticed, when Spider-Man swings around, he actually cuts off the 2-swing max animation in order to start a new 2-swing string. And what we do here with God Pipes is you're meant to stop on these pipes, aim, and then move on to the next pipe by aiming at it. But some of our best runners can actually go through that entire segment without actually touching any pipes whatsoever, completely swinging through until they reach the end of that tunnel. And now we're on our way to Subway, the biggest auto-scroller in the game.
Yeah, this is essentially a 2-minute long auto-scroller where we're just sat on this train. There's nothing really we can do about being sat on this train. Lizards are going to come and try and attack us. But what we're going to do is, if I just continue to jump now until this lizard turns like that and inside my character model, I can just kind of face this way so he doesn't hit me as often, put my controller down, go get a drink, go to the toilet, go to the shop, whatever I like. I literally just can put the controller down. This is a nice, easy moment of rest, really, before we get into what we kind of call the gauntlet, which is every level after this, where every level after this point has some sort of skip or trick that you want to hit if you want to get top times, essentially. So we're obviously going to try and hit them all. We'll see how successful we are with those. We shall see. But yeah, we're kind of sat here basically until that train gets all the way to the right-hand side, although there is a small optimization that we can use to end it slightly earlier. But by slightly earlier, I mean literally maybe on the last 2 kind of like ticks you can see of the train track there. So yeah, we're just kind of sat here. Chuck, I wanted to ask you during this part is, for those who don't know...
1,000 times yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so myself and Chuck very recently just became fathers for the first time, which is very exciting. Chuck, I've been thinking about this for my young boy. What would be the first game that you allow your new child to play? Like, what would be the first game ideally you'd introduce them to and let them play?
Gosh, well, if I wanted to sort of reflect my first games I really connected with, it's going to be this, for one. I spent so much time with this. Another one's going to be like Crash Bandicoot 2, I think.
That's a good choice.
I spent so much time in Crash Bandicoot 2, even though I never got past like the second warp room in there. Yeah. Otherwise, man, that's really hard to say. I imagine Super Mario Galaxy would probably be another good one, I think.
Good shout. Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. My thoughts were, the earliest games I remember playing that aren't like Duck Hunt or like things like that I used to play when I used to go to like my grandma's house and stuff.
Sure.
Is like the Sonic games, like classic Sonic games. I feel like very, very good for just like not really having to know what you're doing. You just kind of hold down right and just get running. And so I feel like that's a nice introduction potentially to video games for a young child. Don't know. I'm sure everyone watching has their opinions as we essentially, this is what I was talking about now, where we end the train, you can see slightly early. By knocking all the lizards off at a certain point in time, we can end the level just slightly earlier, where the lizards just stop spawning for whatever reason. That was a little strat that was discovered. So we're here now. It's the gauntlet, and Chuck, I'm going to kind of let you explain as we go along here for a lot of these levels, just because it kind of goes by quite quick. So I will concentrate on hitting the skips. You tell everyone what's going to happen.
And here's that first skip coming up now. As soon as this little in-game cutscene ends, Spider-Man is once again going to ignore doors and go straight through that door and turn the switch to lower this water. Which, by the way, on the PlayStation version, if your pinky toe even touches water, you are dead. You are straight up dead. No matter how deep the water is, you will automatically get this sort of drowning animation from Spider-Man where he looks like he's just falling deeper into the water. And here on, I believe it's Hidden Switches, we're going to go... we're going to clip through that wall there. It's slip behind those generators and hit the level trigger at the back there, leading us into Tunnel Crawl, which is the bane of most new runners' existence. Because, like I mentioned, the water is very finicky, and if you even touch it, you are dead. And the fastest way we go through is by dropping from the ceiling, hoping to get a web zip, and saving ourselves with a zip up if that doesn't work. With the goal being to try to get to the very end of this tunnel by the end of this first cycle of the water rising and falling. Now, luckily, Spider-Man's gotten through the first half of this, but if you remember from earlier in that police chase, we did a spider fly. And we're going to see this again. This is the second and last level we're going to see spider fly, where our goal here is to try to float up over the wall here, even though it looks like it extends forever, and go straight to the loading trigger right there.
Nice.
Completely skipping a scene where we have to hit a switch to lower the water and hit a switch to open the door to that level. Now, I don't know if Spider-Man's going to go for it here in Venom's puzzle. Okay, we are going to do something commonly called the Fetty Fall, named after one of our runners, where we just fall to the floor because, once again, Spider-Man's hitbox is as thick as a sheet of paper, and we are going to go under the doors that you would need to open with the puzzle to get to the end. And that is a lot, and we're still not done yet because now we need to do Lizard's Maze, where we're going to take what we learned from the tunnel crawl and apply it to this longer section here where we have to try to find these sweet spots to zip through to get through to a certain point, while also avoiding these crushers at certain points. That should be the only crusher we need to worry about here in any percent. But we are going to make our way to this far wall here, where once again Spider-Man says, I don't like walls. Let's just go through them. And we're going to skip almost the entire maze to get to the end. You are doing a slightly different version of this, where we're going to skip the level trigger in-game cutscene. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's not a common one. That's definitely a top runner move right there. And now we are into Venom 2, where this would have originally have been a lizard boss fight. It was cut for time, and instead they decided to put Venom here twice. The whole point here is to try to make sure Mary Jane doesn't drown from having the water rising on her using these switches. Venom will hit the switches if we get bad spawns, but if all goes well, we should be able to finish off this fight in 3
really nice
turns.
spawns. Yes, Venom can spawn in one of 4 places. The 2 places that you saw him spawn, where it was like next to me and across from me, but also on the rafters on either side. Those are the worst 2 places to spawn.
Don't forget
especially if you're doing the strat that we're doing.
there we go.
So, yeah, really good spawns there. We're going to continue skipping through levels now. Floors, ever heard of them? Spider-Man hasn't, because we're about to go through one.
Spider-Man doesn't like floors either. He runs slow on them. He crawls even slower across them. So instead, we're going to skip a bunch of these floors, deload the level even more, and we're just going to jump towards the level trigger that takes us to the next point. By the way, we are out of the gauntlet, but we are still doing tricks in almost each and every one of these levels leading up, including this elevator descent level, where we are going to zip to the opposite side of the wall, which for some reason throws us to
Oh my days, I've gone too far.
to the opposite side of the wall.
This?
I certainly hope so. Oh,
Hold on.
well, that's
I've
a
never done this
switch.
before.
Oh.
Hold on.
Say the thing. Okay.
Nice.
There
All
we
right,
go.
That's
We
never happened
saved it.
before. That's never happened before. We did it. Wow. Okay. Well, you can save that. It turns out, if you ever get stuck down there, targeting mode is your friend. Turns out. Excellent. Wow.
Wow.
said the thing.
And yeah. And now we're heading on to a level with yet another skip, which we are going to take. I believe we're taking the safer route on this one.
We are indeed.
Where we destroy one of the generators, and then because we hate corners, we go through this corner and we hit the level trigger that would normally trigger if we were to destroy all 3 symbiote generators. Yes, there are just some miscellaneous symbiote generators here. It is part of the plot. No, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that symbiotes are the worst enemy to fight in this game, because they are practically immune to impact webs, and the only thing that really kills them is either your web fists or the special sort of like fire web cartridges that we get. And as I say that, we completely gloss over one of the other hardest skips in this game, which is the basement skip, where you have to try to get out of bounds, make sure you only get back in at the right point in order to deload the level and get to the end game trigger as quickly as possible, so we do not have to see the Spider-Man 2K official mascot, Mike the Symbiote. And
Indeed. A lot's happening, guys.
So much is happening right now.
At once. This is Mysterio, by the way. So Mysterio was behind the tech heist the whole time. And so we're going to try and defeat him here. We stand in a certain spot on this top kind of row here where he tries to grab us, but actually our kind of character model's in the right way, where you see his hand kind of phases through us. We use targeting mode to hit all the kind of glowing conduits on his body to take him down, and that's the Mysterio boss fight. It's a lot easier than it looks, I feel like. A lot harder, I should say, than it looks. That can be quite tricky because Mysterio sometimes just doesn't like to play, and he'll knock you up and down. It's all sorts of fun. But we've got through that quite smoothly. We're nearly at the end, guys. This is nearly the end of the game. We've absolutely flown through this, and it's been an absolute pleasure to show you all this game for the first time, potentially as a speedrun. But the skips aren't over. The skips aren't over. We're going to skip through this bit of wall, and now we're going to try and jump to the loading zone by letting go forward now. And in theory, there we are. We fall into the loading zone at a very exact spot by essentially we jump off that edge, we push forward until that last fan hits the top of the screen. At
It's
that
a
point,
leap.
you stop pushing forward, and you're good to go, basically.
It's a leap of faith, Miles. It really is. You have to time it exactly right based on visual cues from the fans in the deloaded area. And if you get it wrong, you hit that 8-second counter I talked about a bit earlier, and the level just resets, which can waste a lot of time and probably contributes to the estimate that Spyrim put in for this game. At least it would be in consideration if I were to submit this game.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot could go wrong. I mean, you've seen everyone watching all the skits that we've just gone through. We have done a really, really good job of hitting like every single one, basically. So this is a crazy, crazy pace for a run, like a marathon run at the minute. So hopefully you've got an idea of exactly like how this run kind of works in terms of the glitches and things you need to be hitting. Any one of those tricks could have gone wrong at any point. Speaking of which, this can sometimes brick your console. Kind of soft lock your console. Not that I've ever had that happen to me.
Never.
You won't ever see that. No.
Never.
So, Chuck, do you want to explain what we're about to do here?
So what we're about to do here is a bit of a memory overflow, where you're supposed to hit 3 separate switches on this level, but by grabbing the fire webs and skipping certain cutscenes, we can hit the same switch 3 times, or actually 2, because of the way Spyron sort of stalled the cutscene to finish out this level. We can't skip this ending cutscene because it leads to the very end of the level. But in certain situations, if you've already done this skip on a previous run and haven't reset your console, it will cause a memory overflow, and it will hard lock the game. And you will have to take your walk of shame back to the beginning of the game and start a new run. And with that, we are heading into the boss fight with the real mastermind, the good guy who decided to save the PS1 hardware, Dr. Octopus.
Oh my goodness, who could have guessed the whole time it was him?
Indeed. We thought he was reformed when he was giving his presentation at the Science Expo. No, it turns out he decided to steal his own technology for some reason for his master plan. And with this, we are going to attempt a deceptively hard trick with this fight. We call it one cycle awk. The first part is to get all of these sort of shield generators down so that it draws power from the shield that Doc Ock is using. And then once this final shield pylon comes down, Spyron is going to time it just right, which I believe he has, and he's going to go in with these kick punches, and then he's going to web dome, and that is a one cycle awk. Yes!
Incredible.
We were really looking forward to that. That is a one cycle awk on hardware, something that is deceptively hard to do.
I was worried I wouldn't be able to show my face again if I didn't hit that in the run, so I'm really glad.
I don't think we would have been invited back to Hotfix or even GDQ itself if you had missed that. And now we are on to Carnage with one of our newest strats for this game, which is a slightly faster version of this Carnage fight, where the idea is you have to keep Carnage in this sonic bubble as much as possible. Normally, we would just keep pelting him with web balls and have him be pushed against one of the emitters, but by timing it just right, knocking him out of the bubble and drawing him back in with the web yank, the last web power we'll see, the sonic bubble never goes away. It never goes away until the fight is finally done. And with that, we are on to the very last level of this game, where Carnage, who was working with Doc Ock, fuses with Doc Ock, and we get this monstrosity. Surprise!
If anyone played this game as a child, this is probably the bit you remember the most, unless you didn't get this far in the game, which would have been understandable. This gave me nightmares, like legitimately. My mum used to hate this. The noises that he makes as he's kind of chasing you through here, my mum used to be like, this is awful, please turn this off. Nightmare fuel. And interestingly, never used again in any Spider-Man media at all after this. We see Monster Rock this one time and then just never again. And I never understood why.
Not even for any of like symbiote-centered storylines, we never see a Carnage Ock ever again. And that's really a shame, because this is terrifying. Like, some people will say that Spider-Man runs on Resident Evil tank controls. Well, if it's like Resident Evil in that respect, it's also got monsters like Resident Evil, last level is any indication. And this is technically a boss fight. This is included in our boss rush category. But the only way that you beat this boss is by racing it to the end of this level, which is a great showcase of movement tech, where Spyron is going to be continually picking the best times to swing and best times to zip forward, so that he can stay as ahead of Ock as possible. And Ock, even if he has rubber banding AI, is just going to be left in the dust in most cases. But even if Ock does get ahead, we are on easy mode. There is a generous window for for Spider-Man to catch back up. But if you're a child playing, oh man, a Spider-Man game, he's so cool, the anxiety and terror you feel when Doc Ock pushes ahead of you is absolutely palpable.
Yeah, we are nearly at the end of the game, guys. So the end of the game is going to be when the screen goes black, which he's going to do just shortly. We're on level 2 now. Well, we're just past level 2, I should say. This is level 1. During the next corridor, the time will be done as the screen goes black, which I will call very shortly as we just come around this corner. And time. There we are.
Jay.
Just over 20. All right, I'm pretty sure that's world record.
Wait a minute.
I think we've just had an absolutely insane
I'm
run.
catching up with
and
this.
I think that's world record. If it's a low 29, I'm pretty certain it is.
Do you know
We've got-
what
hold
the
on,
record is?
I'm checking it right now. Let's see. Hardware.
We're verifying.
2936 is the world record.
We've smashed that then. Oh my days.
Congratulations,
Oh, wow.
GG.
Wow, you smashed that by 30 seconds. Yeah. Wow. Look at you.
What an incredible run. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining me on this incredible journey we've just had. This is the end of the game. Captain America's here. There's Daredevil as well. He showed up in a cutscene earlier, but we skipped it. Punished also, same. Loads of characters in this game. Amazing game, playing casually. Loads of Marvel characters. But that does wrap it up. That was the run. If you're interested, please come and run this game too. It's an incredibly short run. You're looking at like anywhere between like, I'd say like 40 to 45 minutes, maybe on a first run through, but you can knock that all the way down to, like I've done here, like 30 minutes if you get really good and get all the skips in. Yeah, incredible. Shout out to all the Spider-Man runners who I'm sure are watching and those who might watch later. Incredibly fantastic bunch of people, very welcoming when I first started running this game to the community, very helpful in getting people up and running. Just a wonderful community of runners. If you're interested in joining a community that's just nice and friendly, I can recommend this one for sure. Shout out to the Spider Runs Twitch channel, which is a Twitch channel we run, which is the home of Spider-Man speedruns. We're hosting a marathon actually in April, which is a twist on Spider-Man runs, where it's Spider-Man runners not running any Spider-Man games. Spider-Man games are banned. So if you want to see that, twitch.tv/spiderruns, I would recommend you check that out in April. Shout out to Chuck Nicey, who's been here commentating and taking us through this run. Chuck, anything you want to plug and shout out as we wrap up here?
My channel's not active enough to really plug, but it's twitch.tv/ChuckNicey25. If you want to check it out, I'm just happy to be here. You put on a great show. I'm just happy to have been a part of it. So that's really all I got to say. Spider, fantastic work.
Yeah, damn. Once we got to Dr. Octopus and we hit the one cycle, I was like, okay, I might need to lock in here. It got a bit scary. I was like, oh my days, we might need to lock in. And we did. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this on a GDQ virtual stage in this sense. If you enjoy this kind of content, come follow my channel and check this out. I'm very notorious for saying, I'm going to run some other games, and then the stream comes on and it's just Spider-Man. So if you enjoy Spider-Man, chances are you'll see me streaming that. But otherwise, I think that pretty much wraps us up. Thank you very much, and take it back to you, Nicole.
Of course, thank you so much for being here, and also GG again. Chat, we are about to take a quick break, but real quick, if you missed out on any of our Hotfix shows or events like Back to Black, be sure to check out the VODs on youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. And also, as a reminder, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support Games Done Quick hotfix like this one. If you enjoy watching speedruns, consider subscribing to the channel to get access to our emotes and chat with other subscribers during our replays. Now we are going